Hey everybody! So I get asked this question a lot by students of public speaking. And the question is, when I speak, do the same rules that relate to plagiarism and citations apply? So basically, when I speak, if I want to incorporate sources, do I have to cite them like I would when I'm writing an essay, for example? And my answer to this question is this: whether you're writing or speaking or singing or whatever it is, if you take someone's work, you have to give credit where credit is due. That is so important, and there are no doubts about this, and there are no exceptions to this rule. The only thing, though, is how you cite when you speak is a little different from how you would cite when you write. And I'm starting to rhyme now. So how you cite when you speak is a little different from how you cite when you write. That's just one thing that we can learn about speaking. But the short answer is yes, plagiarism is a serious issue when you speak, just as it is a serious issue when you write. So today I want to speak to you about how to avoid plagiarism, actually how to not plagiarize when you speak. So let's get started. So let's talk about the different types of plagiarism first so that you can identify them and know what to avoid. So there is direct plagiarism, there's patchwork plagiarism, and there's what some people call accidental plagiarism. So direct, patchwork, and accidental. There may be other categories, but for the purpose of this video, these are the ones that I want to focus on. So what is direct plagiarism? This is the one that is perhaps most obvious, the easy one that you can spot it right away. You could put your paper through a program and it'll tell you that you've plagiarized. So what is it? It's when you take all the words exactly as they are from a source, verbatim, so each word exactly as it is, and you put it in your source and you pretend like it's yours. Okay, not us, bad people who plagiarize. We're not those bad people. We don't plagiarize. But that's what someone who plagiarizes does. So copy, paste, pretend like it's yours. Direct plagiarism. That's the first one. So what is patchwork plagiarism? All right, so let me ask you this. Have you ever gotten a present, maybe like a quilt or a blanket that's made of different patches of different pieces of fabric sewn together? That's called patchwork, right? Because it's different pieces. Perhaps the person that made the quilt, or maybe you've seen this in a magazine or on TV or something. Perhaps the person who made the quilt, they put all of those pieces together, but the pieces of fabric, the actual pieces of fabric, came from, other people's work. It was other people's work, or they just bought them from a store. When it comes to speaking and writing, we can't do that. We can't consider that just because the final product is ours, that all these little patches, all the things that we've taken from other people are also ours, because it's not our work. Those patches belong to other people. So if you go and you just take from 3 or 4 sources and then you just change some words, you use a few synonyms, you add some transitions, and then you have a paper that's made up of 2 or 3 different sources, that's patchwork plagiarism, and it also doesn't work. You need to use your sources wisely. You need to not only give credit, but you need to use them as part of your own work. You don't use that work as the main work. You use it to support your own work and your own voice. So let's avoid patchwork plagiarism. And the third thing, or the third one that I want to refer to, is what we call accidental plagiarism. And that's when you take something or maybe you paraphrase something and you think, okay, I've paraphrased it, but you forget to cite it or something along those lines. So I think with accidental plagiarism, because remember, even if you paraphrase, you still have to cite, right? You still have to, if it's someone else's work, you still have to tell us where it comes from. So to avoid accidental plagiarism, quite simply, proofread your work or your speech or whatever it is that you're presenting so that you don't make that mistake. So we don't want to plagiarize directly, we don't want to plagiarize accidentally, and we don't want to plagiarize through like patchwork strategies. We don't want to plagiarize at all. All right, so let's say you wanted to cite this video. Let's say this video were like a book and you wanted to cite something that I said in this video. How would you go about doing that? That's what I'm going to show you in the next example. All right, guys, so let's give you an example. Let's say I wanted to cite, or you wanted to cite this particular video here. You could say something like this when you're speaking. In her video, How to Cite When You Speak, on her YouTube channel, Dr. Ace Takeaway, Dr. Abir Fahim says. So basically you could say Dr. Abir Fahim says, and then you would pause for a second, okay? Just pause. Don't say pause. Just pause for a second and then say the quote. You need to use your sources wisely. And then pause again. And the pauses tell your audience that you're quoting. Let's take another example. And this example would be if you were quoting from a journal article. You would say in her article, How to Cite When You Speak, published in 2018 and I totally made up this journal title, in the Journal of How to Cite When You Speak. And again here, I'm telling you the title of the journal, and then I'm going to tell you the name of the author, Dr. Abir Fahim. And I'm going to say says, and I'm going to pause again, like I did in the previous example. I'm going to say the quote, and then I'm going to pause again. Like I said, the pause in between, before the quote and after the quote, is the signal to your audience that you're quoting a source. On Blackboard, you'll find more references to how to cite, so check those out, please. All right, guys, so I guess the takeaway from today is that plagiarism is very serious, not just when you write, but also when you speak. So the same rules apply in the sense that we can't plagiarize, whether it's directly or indirectly, or copy or paste, or patchwork, or any of that. We cannot do that. However, we can still use people's work to enrich our own work, but it's how we introduce it, how we include it, how we cite it, even when we speak, that really matters. Okay then, as always, I'm an email away if you need me. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new, and I will see you soon. Bye.